so we can get this meeting started. Welcome to those who are here. Welcome to those who are online. I was just thinking, here we are 7 months. We're here at 7 months. Good things are happening. And I know there's still struggles in places. But we're here. We're here for you. We're going to continue to be here for you. And that was our promise. As long as we have people in the room, we're going to be here. So you might want to silence your phone. And then we'll go ahead and get started. I just want to tell you it's good to see you tonight. So we're going to invite the Spokane County Sheriff's Chaplain to come up and open us in prayer, please.
Thank you, Jared. Good evening, everybody. So some of you have met me before, is that right? We've been here the past few meetings. I just want to know, it has been a challenge and a joy all mixed together as we've gone through these challenging times together. One thing I want to say today, before we open in prayer, is that communication is the lifeblood of every relationship. Is that not true? Yes. So a couple things on communication. One, nobody's a mind reader. Is that true? So that's rule number one for healthy communication. We don't have mind readers. I'm not a mind reader, you're not, so we have to communicate. And the other one, has anybody heard of Les and Leslie Parrott? Yes. They call themselves communication experts. Yep. And it's all about relationship, isn't it? And that's what we have in this community. And I would just say to you that one of the rules they have for the foundation of every great conversation, and we want great conversations, don't we? Yep. That the foundation for every great conversation is safety. And so I know, Terry, you've been making it safe. Sonny, you've been making it safe. We have to make it safe to communicate. So please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you. We thank you for this time together. Lord, we know that communicating with you and communicating with each other is so vital. So help us, we pray, join us in this time. Be with us. And Father, we need to feel your presence and your guidance. And Father, we pray that you will bring peace into this meeting and good, healthy communication. We trust this to you, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, thank you so much. So we're going to get off. We'll just begin right with the agenda so that we can get through things and get you the help that you need tonight. Some will come up and speak. Some are available here. And we'll stay as long as you need us to at the end. So let's start off then with the Salvation Army Disaster Case Management. Is there anything from Salvation Army? We have a representative from Salvation Army here tonight. Okay, I guess they have nothing to share. But we are available if you have, something that you would like us to pass along to the case managers. They're here in the community several times a week. And we also have Reimagine Medical Lakes president here, Jerry Johnson. She sits on the LPRG board, Long-Term Recovery Group board. And she's down here in the green blouse and works with the case managers daily. So if you have a case management question, let's run that through Jerry with Reimagine Medical Lake. Thank you. Does Reimagine Medical Lake have anything that you'd like to share or add? Are you okay? Are you? I think this means, if you have any questions for Reimagine Medical Lake, you know that they've been our immediate needs, boots on the ground here, acting as a liaison, for you, between the long-term recovery group and the case managers, and then also making sure that your immediate needs are met. And so please feel free to ask. On the Spokane Region Long-Term Recovery Group, I sit on that board as the president. We have a meeting tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Salvation Army, 222 East Indiana. It is open to the public. We have a new executive director. Her name's Jen Thomas, and she is going to be working on policy and procedure. So as you know, we've been working to get that arranged. We have the unmet needs group that is also looking at those who have, maybe go through our criteria. It's identified through your case managers And then also we have Mennonite groups that are coming in, and we have homes that have been identified for people who cannot rebuild, are not able to rebuild, and yet could probably cover the property taxes. They're very small homes, but the labor is completely free, and we'll be looking to use some of the donated money and running a fundraiser, but all of those pieces are in place, and I'm so pleased to let you know we have one group called Christian Public Service, and they're going to be in Medical Lake, probably June 1st starting, and then the second group is Mennonite Services, and that team will be in Elk. So, and they're also going to be starting probably around that same, maybe a little later in the summer for that group. If you have any other questions about what the Spokane long-term recovery group is doing, you can meet with me afterwards. I'm happy to answer any questions. Spokane County Building and Planning is here also. They do not have a report. I will report that it was a real flurry. Thank you. You know, Monty is humble. He does, they deserve a round of applause. We had that code change that took effect March 15th. And we were trying to get the word out, get your permit in, so we can build under this current code, which is onerous enough. But, you know, that additional code is going to be quite expensive. But thank you. They went above and beyond. They didn't require fully engineered plans. They did stamp the plans that you had and said, okay, at least we set the mark, and then we can perfect those after. And that was a real exception. Also, the county gave us a letter to the long-term recovery group. We have some temporary housing, but it had some tricky parts to it in the building code. And so the county commissioners agreed that they're going to work on an exception. And so the county really has been a great partner in this. So pass that along for us, Monty, and thank you so much for all your work. I'm sure those last few days were a circus. We appreciate it. We like circuses. So next we have City Administrator Sonny Weathers. He is a rock star. He's the one who keeps all of the balls in the air while the rest of us are trying to do fire recovery work and other things. And Sonny, I really appreciate you so much. So thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. So what I want to share with you tonight, last meeting we had, there was some questions and a desire to learn a little bit more about the water and sewer along the west shore of Silver Lake. And so I want to share with you a little bit of the why, what we're looking to do and how we're looking to make that happen. So we prepared an engineering prospectus memorandum to address health, safety, and welfare of community members impacted by the wildfires. There's been efforts historically to try to do what we're looking to do as well, and they didn't come to fruition for a host of reasons. But we really see the opportunity now with the devastation along that west shore of Silver Lake. There's never been a time more pertinent than now to look at the benefits that can come from this. And these are the benefits that we see. The public health benefits include delivering water through a municipal water system. It's monitored and tested to meet regulatory standards. It's in a safe and reliable infrastructure from a readily available source, while we can also take wastewater that's effectively collected and conveyed and treated at a certified treatment plant with existing capacity to meet those needs. And so all that speaks to the public health benefits. There's also some public safety benefits that could come from the project that would be ensured by providing fire protection with adequate fire flow and the placement of 70 new hydrants, which would increase disaster resiliency and really help to provide insurance companies incentive to insure your properties as you rebuild. It also improves emergency vehicle access and evacuation efforts by a more connected transportation network of roads that are built to city standards, because it was really scary considering the one way in and one way out of those three neighborhoods. And lastly, there's the environmental and ecological protection and sustainability benefits that would come, which have been found from numerous projects throughout the state and across the country when they've added sewer and water infrastructure along lake shores. So we're working with the state and federal partners to secure funding because it's an expensive venture. And we understand that, and we don't want to pass those costs on to you. We think that there's a lot of good energy and focus on helping you rebuild and restore. And we want to work with those partners to secure funding now because it's ideal circumstance. The opportunity is ideal right now. And when we look at this whole circumstance, when we look at it all too, mitigating known hazards and increasing resiliency is preferred over merely rebuilding to the same level of risk that we faced before the fire. We have a table out in the foyer. There's some maps and a one pager that has just some information generally about the why and how we're seeking the funding and what we'd like to do with that. Happy to answer your questions after the meeting at that table. So thank you very much for your time tonight. Appreciate it.
I do see a hand, yes, ma'am. Well, we can answer a question now if you'd like. Okay,
First of all, the lake is going down because people are illegally using the water. If you ever would enforce that, we wouldn't have the lake as low as it is. Second of all, we've had our septic tanks checked and monitored. Third of all, 1985, I've been here 40 years. We have never, ever, ever been approached about what we want to do. I called Vista, talked to Vista, so several of us did years ago asking for gas. And they said they could not do it because they have to blast through the rock. Okay, another thing. How much is it going to be the connection fees if we do this? Because we got ones that have never had a say. Never. I don't care what you guys say, if it's better or not. We have never been approached.
so I'll answer that
I
and,
around here, the as long as I lived around there, they say the same thing.
okay, I appreciate that.
The water is terrible. I live in an apartment and I can't even do the toilet and it still is dirty. It looks terrible, but people aren't even drinking the water because it was a taste. What would be the cost of our sewer? I hear that it's bad. And I mean, this is ridiculous. Why don't we get the answers here, not on the table?
Happy to answer the question here. So, first of all, this is a concept. It's not funded. We've asked for the funding and, the cost, is not really where we're at right now. So I will tell you that I talked to Mayor Ramsey. It was in the 80s, the early 80s when he was the mayor. And he had it fully funded at $3.2 million. He had state funding to start the project and to talk about the plan. So without the money, so it's my turn to talk now. So without the money, it really isn't a plan. It's a concept right now and it is conceptual. I will tell you the way that it would work, and it's a long, odorous, a very long process to get there. Nobody wants to do anything to you. We want to do things for you for the better of the community. We consider the West Shore of Silver Lake our community. I've been working 16-hour days for 7 months for you because I love you and I care about you. I will tell you that the lake has 32 homes that still get their water from the lake. They might not use it for drinking, but they do use it to shower and, do their laundry or whatever, water their lawns. So that was one concern. The lake level is affected by all of the wells that are drawing water from the lake. That's what the scientists tell us. And then just getting those, some of those septic tanks. The other thing I want you to know is nobody would have to connect. If we get this fully funded and you do not want to connect, you don't have to. And so please rest assured that that's how it works legally. You would have to sign a covenant agreement that says, I want water and sewer from the city of Medical Lake. When the project goes in, it's likely going to be paid for with minimal cost to the homeowner to connect. If you want to connect later, it would be connected We anticipate it'll be connected at the same rate as if a new house were built now and wanted to connect, which is rather expensive. But, this is not a takeover or, to force anything on anybody. We believe that this is in the best interest of the health of our 3 lakes that we're working on, West Medical, and Silver Lake. We are all, it's our economy depends on, drawing that tourism and drawing those people here. And that we really do want to help you, safe drinking water. And if there's a water issue in some of the buildings, I don't know, I've lived here for 50 years and, I think I might have had groundwater a time or two, but I'll tell you that our water is tested regularly, passes all the safety standards, and so, but you wouldn't have to. So you would not have to. No, ma'am. So you are not in our urban growth area right now. Like I said, you would have to sign an agreement that says, I live outside of the city and I agree to receive these services.
With water, because we get it from the Bible camp. We have to share it. When you do water lines, what do you do? Have to get the water lines in?
I'm not sure, we have to get that fully engineered, so we have a prospectus right now that shows where the roads and the pipes and everything would go. And then you would, probably take that up with the campus to, how they're gonna manage that. But, right now it has to be fully engineered. It's quite expensive to even get that so that, we can see where the roads and the pipes and things are gonna go. Yeah.
And we pay for all of it. The windows of the road and all the brand new houses, especially something well blasting would have to be done. Who would be paying for that?
So, well, like I said, right now it's just conceptual. And so, it's like any other building. If you build a house anywhere, you're gonna have to get through the rock to get there anywhere in this area. So,
We're building all the homes. And all of a sudden you're gonna want to blast. It's gonna ruin a lot of structure. I can see that for a fact.
right. Well, there's safety standards, that have to be complied with when it comes to blasting and the kind of blasting that you do and how deep you can go and how many times you blast so that it's not as impactful. But, I'm not an engineer, but Washington State is the most over-regulated state in the nation. And they trust me, you can't sneeze without having a regulation. And so if there's a safety standard to be had, it will be applied to this project.
Vista would not show and give us gas.
Avista wouldn't come and give you gas because of the cost of blasting, not because it was blasting. So we'll have to let Avista speak for themselves, but, there is gas at the camp. And so, the reason they didn't come the rest of the way down is that it would cost you money. So, yes, ma'am. In the red.
So Marls and Severs, grew up here, lived on Silver Lake my entire life. This is not the first time that there's been what I want to consider a land grab. The church camp is very interested in developing between Medical Lake and Silver Lake. They have been for years. I believe it's probably 15, maybe longer than that, 20 years ago. That was this was attempted. So there are two options because they're saying you don't have to go to.
Are you asking a question or are you giving a presentation? Are you asking, what is the question?
No, I'm not asking. I'm giving some background because I don't know that the information you gave is necessarily the background, and I think people have that right to know.
They do,
So
but
is that okay?
I'll let you speak for a couple minutes, but
You don't want people to know the truth, and that's okay.
well, I don't, that's not the point. I want you to give background. I thought that you had a question. So if you want to go ahead and say what you're going to say, but remember that your version is also going to be scrutinized as well, just like mine is. So go ahead.
So let's begin. People who live on the West Bank of Medical Lake or on Silver Lake have not even been asked if they want this.
You can get asked.
So, the problem that we have here is that the cart's ahead of the horse a little bit, because there's no reason to ask until we have a plan. And we have talked to many of the residents as they've come through, City Hall, then we were doing all of the tree removal. And, this didn't just happen overnight. And no, we have not done any public notice or public hearing because it is not a project at this time. It's just it's an idea.
And I understand, and, you know, but in deference to the concept, I wish, you know, it would be wonderful to sewer and water all of Silver Lake. That would, just like they've done with Liberty Lake, I think that's a wonderful idea. The conundrum is, if you do part of the lake, you've only done part of the lake. And truly, I know the urban growth boundary, because Medicaid's trying to incorporate for the urban growth boundary, that area between the West Bank and Medical Lake. I've been to meetings where they've been discussing that. So this is something that has been coming along. I am not interested in being part of Medical Lake. I don't like being this located county. That's why I live in Spokane County. The density from Medical Lake is such as Fox Hollow. I'm not interested in having 4 houses per acre. So that's really my concern, is I don't want to see all of those beautiful wetlands between the back of just, and I know that Medical Lake recently changed their wetland ruling so that you can be more invasive on wetlands.
Actually, we changed the wetland ordinance so that we can regulate it better. It hadn't been updated since 1998.
Yeah, and that's good that you did that, and I thank you for that. So I thank you for the concepts and the ideas. It's just that I'm posing from Freeman Drive people who fought this in the past, not interested in becoming part of Medical Lake, the urban growth area, and the density building.
Thank you.
And so that's
Like I said, just because this project, even if it were going to go through, does not require you to become in the, the urban growth boundary. First of all, that boundary only changes every few years, can't even been looked at until 2025. Just because you connect, if you wanted to, it does not make you a citizen of the city of Medical Lake. We serve a lot of people outside of the city of Medical Lake. Our water serves Strathview, which is on the other side of the lake. They're not part of Medical Lake. They're still part of Spokane County. And they were pretty darn glad to get it when they realized that their wells over there were drying up, and the city of Medical Lake ran pipe all the way down and over, and we serve them with water. And so there are other people that we serve outside of the city limits with water. It's very common. City of Spokane does it, Airway Heights, everybody serves outside of their city because that's called being a good neighbor. And nobody's trying to force anyone to do anything. It's a concept, and we believe it's in the best interest of the overall health and safety of the folks that would receive those services. Yes, ma'am.
Couple of things. The water from the camp is pretty good water because they also have to be tested. And they've done an excellent job doing it.
Sure.
I really praise them for providing us our
Okay.
water. They have wanted to make another road on the way out, which they couldn't because there's one landowner that doesn't want to sell. So how is the county gonna be able to give us another way out if we have another fire?
So correct. So there would have to be a lot of, so you're talking about a lot of public meetings, a lot that where you would be notified of everything. There's going to be a process for all of that. So you realize right now with one way in and one way out that more and more power has been given to the fire department to determine if you're even going to be able to get insurance. If there will ever be any access down there, I'll tell you what, on the second day of the fire, when I'd been there for 30 some hours straight, and the chief came up to me and he said, Mayor, you can expect a very significant loss of life. There's no way we got everybody in. We could get everybody out of that one way in and one way out of those 3 neighborhoods. And I'm thinking, these are people I love. These are people who my kids grew up with their kids. I'm going to know you, and I'm going to know that you didn't make it. And we got blessed. We got lucky. We had a lot of help getting everybody out. And by the grace of God, everybody made it. And I think that you're pushing your luck to think about that you're gonna live down there with one way in, one way out, in this kind of a wildfire seasons that we have now. It's going to happen again, and we're trying to do this for you, but nobody's gonna make you do anything. You'll have a hard time getting insurance on your property. You have no water suppression, no fire suppression down there, and it's gonna be tough. When you go to renew your insurance, you're gonna find yourself maybe in a tough situation, and I'm concerned about that. But it will grow back, and there's more, and houses themselves are fuel. So, thank you for thinking of others.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
there's been a vote.
Our insurance will get, they'll give us insurance, they'll get us insurance.
Okay, I know that you can. What I'm saying is that it's going to get harder and more expensive. I'm not trying to convince you of it. I'm saying it's gonna be an idea. You'll have all the opportunity in the future to speak to this. And, you know, when the time is right and we actually have an engineered plan and we see what kind of blasting is it gonna take? Do we have the funding? What will it cost? Who's going to be impacted? All of those are conversations that we'll have. And I'll take one last question in the back and then the rest we can, oh, excuse me. Go ahead. Absolutely. So that was something that became apparent. I didn't get notice either. All of us. So,
East side of the lake, not west side.
all right. Well, let me speak to that. It comes through the national alert system. There's a Washington alert system. So right after the fire, and emergency management can speak to this too, but right after the fire, we ran a test and we actually had all of the cell phones in the area put on the national alert system, and they sent out a test. There are a lot of gaps. We didn't have generators. I mean, the city itself discovered a lot of things that we were failing. It was by the grace of God we recovered as we did, and that we didn't have significant, terrible things happen. We learned a lot of lessons. We're not perfect. You know, I became mayor 2 years ago, and there hadn't been one bit of infrastructure improvement for probably 20 years. And so we're trying, and we're trying to do better. We're having these community meetings because we care. And I'm telling you, I don't know that would happen under a different administration, and having somebody like Sunny who is dedicated to this community as I am. And so we're not doing anything to anybody. We care about you. We care about your concerns. Your concerns are going to be heard. We're not your enemy. And I know Medical Lake. I've lived here for 50 years, and we care about each other. And so I care about you. And I'm working for you. And I've been working I could have said to the West Shore of Silver Lake, good luck, call the county. You know, I recruited hundreds and hundreds of volunteers and worked with a guy that could bring businesses and people to cut your trees and clean your lots, and called the governor and called the president and got unprecedented awards for you because I care. And so I'm going to show that same level of care when it comes to this. I'm going to listen, you know, and it's not my decision. It's not Sunny's decision. It's going to be the people's decision. And there are a lot of processes to go through, but we can't even talk about it unless we have a plan and then say, does this work? So. So you're welcome. And then, I know you're just, all right, one last thing, and then we're going to move on.
Taking out my vote.
Okay,
So I'm grateful for the sheriff department.
absolutely.
And our two dogs and our son.
Praise God.
Yeah, now I'm having trouble with the building because I can't get enough money,
Mhm.
but there's a boat that has burned and it's sitting in the boat ramp,
I know.
and it's been there all since August.
I reported that a couple times,
So
to the county, and so we need to, you know, like I said, we have to find somebody to go and get the boat out of the lake.
maybe Fish and Wildlife want that out.
So, oh, it's gone. Thank you. Ken and I were just talking about working on that yesterday, so it sounds like it's gone.
Okay.
So-
So there's other boats in the water too, right? then
Some of those folks along the shoreline, their insurance companies were then surfacing and removing those boats. I haven't looked to see what's left there, but at some point, you still have debris on your lot. You have a boat in the water, you have a jet ski in the water. Ecology and Spokane Clean Air, they will be coming to look, and that's another layer. But they have been gracious to us to give us opportunity to get through the winter, start rebuilding, get our legs under us a little bit before they hammer down, on more rules. So they've been really gracious and kind to try to work with you and me. So
I just wanted to point those two things out.
appreciate it so much. Okay,
So you're gonna build new roads through there,
this plan has some access roads, yes.
water lines. Well, that's gonna put people going 40 miles an hour or faster in our housing area.
So,
Where kids play.
yeah. Like I said,
Animals.
you'll have an opportunity to speak to that when it comes. I don't know where the roads will be. You'll see where they are. They'll be regulated like every other city street, and, so I'm not the engineer and, I understand your fears. So,
Thank you for all your hard work and sharing.
yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. So let's go ahead and move on. I think that we've, aired quite a bit about that. I want to hear more about it. Thank you. And so we will definitely, have more, like I said, there is an entire lengthy process to be had, with this. Yes, ma'am.
One thing that the people that live north of the White Camp.
Yeah, I hear you.
Less like debris, less
Yeah.
traffic, everything.
I understand. I understand. I understand. So thank you. And you'll have more opportunity to say those things in a public forum when we're having decision makers, in the room about that. But tonight was just to let you know that we are likely going to move forward with getting this engineered so we can actually see what it'll look like. And when you can actually see the detailed plan, like I said, public hearings will be required and there's a process that will follow and there will be your opportunity to continue to share your voice. So, well, I understand your fears. Nothing's been decided. No decision maker has decided this is gonna happen. It isn't funded. It's $29 million. And so, but I understand your fears. So thank you. So we're gonna go ahead and, you can look at the map and the answer is yes. So, next we're gonna have, Joel Harsted come up. He's with Washington State Emergency Management. He's gonna speak to you about updates that are from the state and the funding that's come, from the state. And then he'll go on to, invite up the insurance commissioner, Federal Emergency Management, and then the Small Business Administration. And then after that, I'll come up and just close. So thank you, Joel.
Thank you, Mayor Cooper. So as the introduction, I'm Joel Harstead. Sorry. So my name is Joel Harstead. I'm the Recovery Section Manager with Washington EMD. I'm also serving as a Deputy State Coordinating Officer for this disaster. This is a role that I normally serve in my Department of Recovery. We've been facilitating the state funds provided by the governor and the Department of Commerce over the last 6 months. So the debris management, those are funds kind of my office does that. So that's what I'm talking about that real briefly. So there's gonna be a lot more information about the FEMA programs, but those state funds are still in play. So right now, if you need debris management, we ask you contact your DCM. We're working through the county so we can continue to get those payments out there. Talking to the county today, we're almost $1 million spent on debris removal already, and we do still have some homes out there that we're getting some statements we're getting back to those contractors. So that'll continue to go on. So if you need debris management, definitely contact the DCM. We are going to be coordinating, and we all by ourselves coordinate some of the federal assistance. So we did get a public assistance declaration for this disaster. That really means some infrastructure in this community. You didn't have a lot of the road damage you would see in like a flood or earthquake, but there are some of those damages. Right now, we can only cover like emergency measures. So items that local community use to respond to its shelters, fire response, but we've all requested those additional services for facilities as well. So those are programs that will help the community. So it won't necessarily help you at your home necessarily, but it'll really help get the community back up on its feet. So let's go to the state programs we got. Part of this is some of those funds through the DCMs for other needs assistance. We were providing through those organizations and other volunteers. We paused some of those services through the DCMs right now because the FEMA money is coming in. We have to make sure there's not a duplication of benefit. Two people aren't paying you for the same pair of shoes or the same water heater. So we stopped that for a little while and let the FEMA program flux. They usually have a little bit more funds available to you. And then once we get on the other side, if you've got a payment for FEMA, if you still have a need or there's other need assistance that get with your DCMs, we'll work to fill those needs. Okay. So those different state programs that are still in play will be out here. Long-term, we're here to support you as community long after the FEMA 18-month registration, the 60-day registration period, and long after the 18 months of services. So we'll be here to continue to support. We're similar up in Whatcom County. They had floods over 2 years ago. We're still working with the state to provide facilitating the funds and recovery efforts in those communities. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be here after, and we can talk about some of those different programs. So after me, I will, my counterpart, and I have to get this right, Washington Office of the Insurance Commissioner, Amy Teixeira.
When I was in the plays, you have your little spots you have to stand on. So, I'm really glad to be here. I was able to come in August, just maybe 10 days after the fires, and to see the resilience of you folks is just incredible to me. So I'm glad I'm able to come. I do work for the Office of Insurance Commissioner. It's a regulation office, so we regulate the insurance industry. We're here to give you information about your rights. It's really important to our office that you know what your rights are, what your coverages are that are available to you, you know, the timing rights of it, the things that the insurance companies are required to do. Because we're a regulatory agency, we can't make an insurance company pay your claim in any particular way, but what we do is make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. One of the things I noticed this last time I came the first part of March is most of the people I spoke to were underinsured. I reached out to the insurance commissioner that day, and within the next day, he had a letter out to insurance companies asking them. So here it is again, we can't make them do things beyond what the policy contract says they'll do, but we can certainly put a little pressure on them, ask them to act on behalf of you folks. And so he asked that the insurance companies lighten up some of the restrictions on your contents claims, because I was hearing a lot of folks were having issues with their contents claims. So I got that letter from the commissioner, as well as he asked that the insurance companies would consider previous to that, he asked that the insurance companies consider helping with debris removal and things like that and expediting those coverages. So those are some of the things that our office will do. We are advocates, you know, we want to help you. I work in the Consumer Protection Division. You know, insurance is not fun. Nobody comes to talk to me because they've had a good day with their insurance, you know. They're coming because they're mad, they're coming because they're frustrated, they're coming because they're sad. You know, they're devastated, and I've heard probably every single person I spoke to has been underinsured. And so, you know, that's one of the things, insurance is like a necessary evil. I don't want to pay for insurance. I don't, you know, but when my agent says, review your policy, I need to review my policy because that's what I'm hearing. You know, folks just didn't have the opportunity to review or didn't think they needed to, and they're finding themselves underinsured. So that's something I really encourage folks to do. When you get that renewal and your agent says, you want to talk about it, talk to them about it. Do it. I know it's a necessary evil. I heard a little bit about the concerns about, you know, insurance rates and cancellations or non-renewals, and that's real. Insurance companies are in the business of making money, and if they don't make money, they don't want to insure that, right? So there are some instances where insurance companies have said they don't want to continue insurance. If that happens, you can shop for other insurance. It's a little harder to find once you've been canceled. There is the Washington State Fair plan that's available to folks if you can't get insurance. It's a program that was put through the legislature in the 1950s, I think. And that's something that's available to you. Rate increases. it's nationwide. It's not because the fire, it's not because, it's just, it is. Everybody's raising their rates. Homeowners, auto insurance, all types of insurances are going up. I know when I get my insurance renewal, every single 6 months or annually, I shop for insurance. I'm sorry to say this, I don't have loyalty to an insurance company. I just don't. If it's gonna be $800 more a year, I'm gonna shop and find something cheaper if I can. It's a product. When you buy your insurance, you're buying a product. And so, you know, if you're shopping for clothes or a vacation or whatever it is, you shop around. It's the same thing with insurance. So I encourage folks to consider that when they get that premium and they're, ugh. So, our office is available Monday through Friday, 8 AM to 5 PM. We answer thousands of consumer calls. We've helped millions of people over the years in our agency, and we really do care. And you can see that from the fact that we've been here. You know, we're here to hear what you're going through, to empathize with you, to see if there's something more that we can do. I have heard from a few folks that have said that, you know, their insurance was great, we're really happy with them, a few folks. Their insurance is great, we're really happy with them, and I suggested, still come talk to me, because there might be something in there that you weren't aware of that was available to you. And that has happened, where some folks thought they, you know, had all they were gonna get, and then realized there was actually a little bit more available to them. So if you feel like you're, you know, everything's great, but you're not quite sure, or you want to make sure, contact our office. Out in the front there, I have information about, the letter that the commissioner sent out to insurance companies, asking them to lighten up on the contents claims and to work with you folks to get those things resolved quickly. I have some information. Our office had a rulemaking session where we are now requiring insurance companies starting June 1st to be transparent in the way they determine your rates. So they'll have to, if you ask them, you know, they're gonna have to tell you why your rates went up and what the factors were that impacted your coverage. I have some information about that out there as well as some swag. Somebody came in and said, where's the chocolate? So I know you've seen me at the DRC because big old bucket of chocolate, it's how I make friends. I appreciate it and it works well for me and it's cheap. Chocolate's cheap. So I'm here with Ethel. Ethel's been manning ELP for this time. She's a long-term employee of the Insurance Commissioner's Office. So we're gonna be back here. We'll be available to talk with you back there in the hall if you have any questions. And here's Dick.
Amy's got a tough topic and that, but they are advocates and they're on your team. So I always appreciate the energy she brings. My name's Duke Davis. I'm a federal coordinating officer and I'm responsible for leading the program delivery here in Medical Lake and Elk areas for the wildfire survivors. I wanted to cover a couple of topics. The first one is, this will be my top line message and my closing message. If you haven't registered, please register. Our registration period goes on for 60 days from the day it begins. That deadline is 20 April. The way our program works is it will go on for 18 months. But if you don't register in that 60-day registration period and you don't have a registration number, then when you come back at month 14 and say, I just discovered that my septic has a problem, we can't help you unless you have a registration number. And some of you are going to discover that maybe your septic melted or it needs a sweep or a clean out. And so those are some of the things and the reason why it's important to get that registration number up front. Today, I believe we have about 463 registrations. We have 30 what's called max grants, 42,500 payouts for folks amongst those 463 registrants. We just topped about $2.2 million being distributed here. We really started to see some payouts in one of the more difficult areas of insurance coverages. Let me back up a little bit. We've got 207 folks right now that we're asking you to please bring in your insurance policy so we can take a look at it. There are 5 areas we typically talk about that are not routinely covered on an insurance policy. It's your HVAC, it's your septic hookups, it's your well, it's your retaining walls associated with your primary residence, and then it's your drive getting in and out of your residence. And we're starting to see some good measure in terms of folks bringing those in. I think today we've got about 72 folks that have gotten some assistance in septic wells, and retaining walls and such. And of those 72, 41 of them were insured. And of those 41 that we're finding good measuring, about 37 are getting assistance to repair a well. And it's, repair the well. And it's typically the things above ground, the hookups, the pump, the well house. And then the septic, we've got about 4 folks that were insured that were getting payouts to assist in the repair of the septics. And again, it's typically the melting of the hookups and those above ground things like that. We have had some instances where septics have been contaminated, and there's been some clean out discussion in terms of the repair and bringing them back to a serviceable condition. Let me go back up and hit a couple of the top line points. You heard a phrase there, duplication of benefit. What happens with our program is we're not actually able to get you to a point of whole recovery. We're able to give max payouts under our individual assistance program of up to $85,000. And that's divided into 2 sides of our program. On the front side of our program is the housing assistance and repair, which can get $42,500. In the middle, you'll be asked to do a bit of an income means test, fill out an application for a small business administration loan. If you qualify, that becomes your path to recovery. And you'll hear from George here in a minute. They're offering loans in the range, 2.5%, upwards of $500,000 to help out with some of your rebuild efforts. And he'll discuss some of the property, the housing, and as well as the personal property loans. If for some reason you do not qualify for that loan, you potentially get kicked back into our program, what we call the second half of our program, which is personal property coverages, which can allow another $42,500. And we're seeing a lot of payouts for personal property. But that term duplication of benefit, if you were insured and you had a payout under insurance of $150,000, because we statutorily cannot pay for something that's already been paid for, whether it's insurance or other means, that's called a duplication of benefit. And because our program goes up to a max of $85,000, when we see that you're insured at a level and you've had a payout, what's going to happen is you're going to get a letter and it's going to say, at this time, you've been determined as ineligible, but you got to go down to the 3rd paragraph of that letter. It will describe the type of documentation that we need to see to try to help you get to yes in terms of some of the potential. And that's where folks have brought in those insurance policies. And anyway, we've had already 43 folks where we've been able to give some payouts and assistance for septic and wells. And that's a little bit of the background of what a duplication of benefit is about. Already talked fill out. If you get an opportunity to fill out that loan, fill out the loan. You don't have to take it. It's just another opportunity or option for you in your potential path forward to recovery. Already talked insurance. Included in those 5 areas that I talked, we also talk about additional living expenses. Some of your policies, in fact, I'm told this area by some of my folks who've worked across the country has a pretty high percentage of folks that were covered for additional living expenses in their policies. When we find shortages or you've reached a limit and you still have some requirement for additional living expenses, those are the areas where we can potentially come in and give some additional assistance when your assistance under the policy runs out. Ours is a need-based program. If we see a need, we're going to try and get to yes and get to some position to help you out. The other one is access and functional needs. We're running into some folks that had access ramps. They're burned down, and we've got the first instance now, came out late last week. We've got a payout for an access ramp. It's up in Elk, admittedly, but we had a $2,800 payout, as I recall, for a ramp to be restored for a young lady that had a $145,000 payout on insurance. But we've been able to help her with $5,400 for a well repair. Her well house burned down, her pump and her hookups. She got a $5,400 payout on that. And then again, we paid $2,800 for an access ramp. And then she had a member of her family, of course, access ramp, had some disabilities, and she's brought in her documentation of what some of her requirements are to help him with some of the gear that he needs. And we're expecting a payout to support that as well. And so again, trying to get to yes in so many different areas. But we've got to look at those insurance policies and see where we can get to yes. I talked a little bit about requests for information. Those are those letters that you're going to get. We used to call them denial memos. We're trying to change our messaging to, we call them requests for information now, but the first line message is a legal message that unfortunately you've been ineligible for this coverage. And then I'd encourage you, don't stop at the first paragraph. Go down to that third paragraph. It'll get into the specifics that you need. Visit our DRCs. They're going to be open, like I said, till the 20th of April. We're starting to get information out now that we've adjusted. We're going to be on a Monday a Tuesday through a Saturday schedule, and we're getting that new schedule out. That'll start next Monday. But the hours are consistent now here through the weekend, and then we're going to adjust again to a Tuesday through a Saturday. And we're just not seeing a lot of activity on Mondays. We're continuing to see 20 to 24 visits between the two DRCs here at Medical Lake and up in Elk. And we'll continue to run that consistently. We might drop down some of the days or create better hours when we see a drop off, but we're not seeing a drop off in the visits right now. We're seeing a transition in the type of customer that's coming in. It's moved from registration to now second and third time visits to where folks are coming in and getting interactive and asking the questions. They're coming in to see Amy and Ethel and some of our small business administration representatives, and then our individual assistance specialists. I want to share with you a couple of vignettes as well of some recent payouts. Last week in the Elk, when you came in, you may have been asked to sign in and give us some information. Lady coming in, she signed in, she said, "Oh no, I don't need any assistance with FEMA, I'm good." Throughout the discussion, we had some folks that engaged with her. They encouraged her to go out and register. And yesterday, we gave her a $42,500 payout. That's a success story. That happened up in Elk, and I got a couple here from Medical Lake. This one, I bumped into this one Monday here in Medical Lake DRC. She was uninsured, very, very frustrated. She was apologetic. Duke, I was not a good person when I came here the first time. That's okay. We understand you've been through a lot. When she came back in, she sat down with Jorge. He's one of our fan favorites. He worked through the entire process with her. She's ended up wrote an appeal. She's got a $2K payout for rental assistance. She got a $4K payout for personal property. She was notified today. I got the honor of actually calling her and letting her know that she got $27,500 today as a payout to help out with her RV. She's still in for some moving and storage fees. She's not sure she's going to take us up on that. And she's actually got we can help out with some dental, optometry, or medical expenses that were directly related to the, to the disaster. And she has a requirement in for some dental gear that got burned up in it. And then she's going to come back. I spoke with her today. She's potentially going to come back for some septic repair. That she said she's noticed that her septic has melted. She doesn't know the level of disc repair, but she's going to come back in and see if we can help her out with some septic also. Here's a couple of Medical Lake payouts. A $42,500. This is I'm a middle-aged person, about the same age as me. Replacement housing, $42,500. Rental assistance for $2,000. Personal property for $6,600. For a total of $51,100. That was here in Medical Lake. Another Medical Lake elderly gentleman, replacement housing $42,500, rental assistance $2,600, personal property $10,500 for a total of $55,000. Up in Elk today, we contacted an older gentleman. We've been doing some call outs. Some folks register and then they don't come in. We've got 6 staff that have been doing some call outs. Thus far, they've had $374,000 generated based on their call outs. Call calling out and saying, hey, can we turn in this documentation? We think we got some areas where we can give you some assistance. One of the call out efforts, one of the ladies described to me today that a 72-year-old gentleman, this was up in the Elk area, they did call outs. She's had 2 contacts with him, and she was able to contact him today and tell him that he got $55,000. He was absolutely shocked. They did a FaceTime. He broke down, got emotional on there. He just couldn't believe that he got to yes. So there's examples out there. The money is starting to get out there. And I'm trying to encourage you to come in, because we got 207 folks that we haven't looked at your insurance policies. Come in, see Amy, see if you can't get better insurance or where she can assist there. And then we'll look at areas where you're potentially not covered, and maybe get to yes and give you some additional assistance as well. That's my message. I hope I didn't go over there, but come out and visit us. We're really trying to get to yes. We'll be here until, like I said, 20 April. That's all I got. Oh, question here. Go ahead, please.
Say that will alleviate some concerns about privacy. I have anyways, I want to go ahead and register. I just need to have my significant other buy-in on that and about getting our information out there and not getting it out.
Yeah. I will tell you that I don't even open up that file. We really handle personal information. As you know, this has been a subject at the federal level, protection of personal information. And it's considered, I mean, it's really handled with the greatest of care. Everything that we pass for information is password protected. And we try and do absolutely an ultra level job of handling that information and making sure that we're handling it delicately. And even when I share vignettes, I try and do everything I can to not talk that in any way that would give away the identity of the person who's doing it. So again, I'd encourage your partner there. Please register and see if we can't find a way to help him out. And I don't, maybe I could talk to you afterwards if you need some more encouragement or reinforcement on how sensitive it is to us and how important it is that we protect that person's personal information.
Thank you.
I'm just not in sales. I don't know if I can get you to yes on that one, but I'll try the best I can. Is there any other question maybe out there?
When does,
Oh, I'll go down here, sir, and then to you, please.
when does the DRC days go from Tuesday? When do you?
It'll start, it's gonna start next week, so next week will be the first day that we're not open on a Monday. We're gonna switch to Tuesday through Saturday. And, you know, we've seen 20 to 24 a day. We candidly only saw 8 visits last Saturday, but we want to leave it open on Saturday because it's a non-work day and it just, you know, it's a, you know, opportunity for folks to come out outside the work week. And sir, you here in the middle, please.
Think about it. Then not even a year and what we've done. It's been great. My problem is I get denied a lot on certain items because of the fact that I have too much money in the bank or I have too many assets. So it makes a person feel like they gotta sell everything they've got and bury their money in the ground to get any help. So I don't get that.
It's frustrating that you're planning ahead or you're penalized. It feels a little bit like you're penalized. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I don't know if I could speak to that, sir. It is a needs-based type of requirement, but I'd like to talk to you afterwards and see if we can figure out what's going on in your case. You do have, I mean, I assume, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I hope you're registered and you are, okay. And let's talk afterwards and see if we can't find a way to get some assistance. I'm not sure we can't get to yes, so I'd like to talk to you afterwards, see where we can potentially help out. Yeah. Is there another, Amy, go ahead, please.
Comment. I've been here, I was here in August, and I've been here February and March, and I was in Hawaii in October and December, and what I see is, and this is amazing to me, this is the federal government, and they care. I'm so impressed with with the level of care and passion and compassion that FEMA has. I'm just really impressed, and I saw it in Hawaii, and I'm seeing it here. You know, people walk into the center and they're crying and they're leaving smiling. You know, and there's not a lot to smile about, right?
Yeah.
But they are, because they can feel the compassion, they feel the people that want to help, and I just think it's amazing.
Yep.
I really do. I'm very impressed.
I-
I'm a state worker, right? I'm one of those. Well, he's federal.
Thanks, Amy.
So.
I
just wanted to point that
appreciate you
out.
saying
Very
that.
impressed.
I tell a quick story. I was just up in Alaska for a year and, we were working out in some of those small native tribal villages. And it's very common that what happens is folks will come in and register. And then they get this, they're told, hey, here's things you could potentially qualify for. And then, they get sent this, hey, fill out this application for a loan. And then we go back the second time and we bump into them and they are very upset. You said I was gonna qualify for some money and you gave me a darn loan. What the heck's going on? And then we go out and then they won't talk to us a second time because we offered them a loan and we're saying, please fill out the loan. They fill out the loan and for one reason or another, they may get, this particular lady got denied. We went back a third time and we said, Mary, hey, how's it going? She goes, I got a $28,500 payout. Things are going really well now. And so there's that, unfortunately, there's that process we're gonna work through. And sir, I wanna work with you and see where we could potentially get to yes, but there are some of those processes you're going through. And I know you're about sick and tired of processes, but we're here as people trying to answer questions and help you get through this. And again, try and get to yes and answer some of these. I have way over time and I'm getting that look from the MC here that maybe it's time for me to get off the stage here. But I'll talk to you afterwards. Sir.
Thank you, Duke. My name is George Casterico. I'm with the Small Business Administration Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. I did talk to some of you folks about a month ago, the last meeting. I don't know how many people, can I get a raise of hands of who was here versus not here? Okay. So you guys kind of heard an explanation of the benefits. I don't want to bore you with too much of that, but just a very high level thing I want to share with you folks. So what the SBA does is we provide loans. So it's not grants, it's not a needs-based program similar to what Duke was just explaining about. We're equally passionate and really want to help people. I do want to tell you a benefit. If you have insurance and you're underinsured, which unfortunately is more and more common these days, you know, the old story of the State Farm guy that met with your dad every year and looked at the insurance policy. We don't seem to have that hand-to-hand kind of relationship in communities anymore with insurance, which is a real drag. So I myself, with my own insurance, I have to literally call. I have a renewal coming up because I bought a house in June, this is in California. And I have to ask him, hey, where do I stand? If I have a complete loss, am I covered? You know, and I have to go over that stuff with him. So why I'm bringing this up is that if you are underinsured and you have a rebuild cost that exceeds whatever your insurance is, what we can do, because we want to see people recover, we want to see them back to where they were before, we will basically front or start the process for the whole total amount. So if you had a $500,000 coverage for a 650 rebuild, let's say, we will make that 650 available to you, assuming that, you know, your credit is good and you can pay back the loan, because those are two things that we look for. And so what happens is when the insurance payout does come, it's debited against the balance. So you may have a situation where your house is rebuilt and you've got $150,000 at 2.5% over 30 years to pay, which is not, and then that's a pretty good, that's below market rates. That's a pretty good amount. But what I wanted to really reiterate was this, is that the deadline is so critical, folks. I sent an email out to a bunch of folks on Monday. You know, we have less than 30 days before we hit that April 20th thing. So if you have not registered, or more importantly, why I wanted to talk to you folks is if you've been referred to SBA for a loan and you have not initiated that, I just really highly encourage you, please, 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 start that loan process, whether you need the loan or not. It's part of the process to unlock some extra benefits that are really critical that as Duke said, that insurance is not going to cover, that you will get compensated and helped out with things like sewage and, or, you know, septic systems and water systems, because you live in a rural community. You don't have hookups. You're not in a setup where somebody came through and did a bunch of water hookups and a bunch of sewer hookups. And we've seen this in California. I worked at another job where that was a big deal. People were on wells, and we could not make people, even though it was all paid for, state funds to get people onto water, because if they had rural property, they wanted a well because they wanted to water livestock. They didn't want to pay. But what they didn't understand is that you pay electricity, and electricity costs can be expensive. So it's kind of a wash. Anyway, I'm not here to hector people on that. It's just an interesting thing. Rural communities have specific needs, and the SBA is doing what it can to meet those. So one thing I wanted to share with you is just give you some statistics like Duke did. Let's see here. So the first thing I want to just go over the loans really quickly. So homeowners are eligible for up to $500,000 to replace, repair their primary residence, not vacation homes, it's primary residence. Renters and homeowners can apply for up to $100,000 to replace or repair personal property. And businesses and nonprofits can apply for up to $2 million to cover disaster losses not fully covered by insurance. So the interest rates are 2.5%, as low as 2.5% for homeowners, 4% for businesses, and 2.375% for nonprofit organizations. So here's the statistics. So SBA has gotten 377 referrals from FEMA for loans for people to come and talk to us. They started the process. Folks, I'm just really impressed. The word's gotten out. You guys are showing up. You're coming to ELF. You're coming to medical aid. You're starting the registration process. We need you to, not you necessarily here in the room, but if you have neighbors or people you know, please ask them to follow through on the SBA loan so they can unlock some of the other FEMA benefits. So, basically, 162 have contacted SBA of that 377. So we have 115 survivor loan process is going right now, but that leaves 215 folks that started with FEMA, were referred to us, and have not started the process with SBA. Since you're already registered, you don't have to do that by April 20th, but the sooner you do it, the sooner you unlock potentially some other benefits that FEMA can provide you. And like I said, you guys, this is different than an urban environment. This is different than what we had up in the town of Paradise, or down in the town of Paradise in California, where the whole town was, of course, it was a complete catastrophe. 83 people died. Absolutely just unacceptable. And they had to have a complete different approach to land use planning as a result of that. Because too many trees, no exit routes, everything that the mayor was talking about, those are all things that you need to think about from a public safety standpoint. But I really, really just want to leave you with this, that if you know somebody that has registered, but they haven't followed through on the loan, please start that process, get through that loan application, whether you qualify or not. You don't have to take the loan, but you need to jump that hurdle to get those extra set of benefits with FEMA. Another thing I wanted to address, the privacy question came up. I know folks are super sensitive about that, and I just want to emphasize, we don't share our information with anybody. So because we're a federal agency, if we're moving slower, which loans are much slower than what the FEMA process is in terms of getting money out to folks, people go to their local elected officials, or they go to their congressional or state folks, and they say, hey, I feel like SBA is not paying attention to me. They will contact us. And we're glad that they're contacting us, because we want to get to the yes of the word, right? And so We don't share any financial information with those elected representatives when they ask about your situation. We will send a document to you where you waive or give permission for them to ask questions, as it were. They don't know anything about the financials. All they know is where you are in the process. And based on your comfort level of them asking questions, we can talk a little bit about some situations where we're having a sticking point. So maybe it's documents that we haven't found. So those are the kinds of things that we deal with. Also, that FEMA is dealing with is that we may send a letter out notifying you that at this point we're at a juncture, we can't move forward because we need these documents. We just went over to a new system where you don't have to bring your whole financial life with you under your arm. We know a lot of people have lost all their records. We just want to start the process with you. The other stuff can follow. We made it a lot easier for people on the front end. But at some point, we are going to need a copy of the title. We are going to need a copy of insurance, those kinds of things. So at any rate, on that, I just wanted to just emphasize two things. Please register with FEMA if you haven't. If you have registered with FEMA, follow through on the SBA loan. And the last thing is if you know people that are on the fence, please have them walk into one of the disaster resource centers by April 20th and start the process. Once you're in, it's great. It's a lot harder after that April 20th date. It's not impossible, but it's a lot harder to get people into the system. And I'd be glad to answer any questions in this section. Oh, sure. Sure.
I thank you very much for coming tonight, and I did get a small business loan. But it's not enough, so how do I ask for one?
So
$300,000 short.
okay. So we have a table set up in the gym, and afterwards we have Renee in the back of the room, and you can chat with him and make an appointment to come in. We can't look at anything tonight. We don't have the thing set up, but please let's not stop there. Let's keep that discussion going, and Renee can talk to you or one of the other folks if you go to the DRC in Elk or during the city hall here where we've got the tables. And let's see, as Duke said, if we can
Yeah,
move
thank
through
you
to.
very much, because you did give me a small loan, but it's not enough.
Okay, so we can look at that, and I believe there's some kind of like an appeal process you can follow too. Anyway, am I running out of time? I'm done. I want to answer any questions that people have, but I will be here afterwards, and so will Renee in the other room if we have specific questions. Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been long, but I think it's been really informative. Couple things came to mind about security. So remember that the federal government has the highest level probably of the cybersecurity. So if the threat is from external, I think that you can be safe there, and all government entities, including City of Medical Lake, have had to have security breach, high level of security because of the threat out there on the internet. And so that has been a common theme in government. So if you're thinking of external threat, you can be confident that that's probably at the highest level. Also, I was thinking, I'll say it for the third time. So you apply with FEMA and SBA, and then you keep asking until you get that absolutely, we can't ever do anything for you ever again. And so I think it's kind of like Mario Brothers, which I'm not a gamer, but I remember my kids, it goes along and you hit the thing and the money comes out and then you jump up the next level. And so I think you got to find the secret door, sort of. That's what it seems like. But they're here to help. And so they're here to help you find the secret door. And so just keep asking, and encourage your friends to keep asking. One other thing is that small businesses can get those loans as well, even if you didn't have a total loss. And then there's also the contiguous counties around Spokane. Those businesses also are eligible. So if businesses were impacted, and you're trying to recover, you need some assistance. These are low interest loans to help you get your business boosted up again, maybe some investment you could make or something to help get your business going again. So anyway, be asking and continue to be sharing. And I think Jerry, Reimagine Medical Lake, changed her mind and had one thing she wanted to share. Briefly. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate FEMA being here and state management being here. I think tonight was really.
So I just thought, as everybody was sharing tonight, I would give a little bit of a story that Reimagine Medical Lake will be 9 years old this June. And you know, just the fact that when we formed Reimagine Medical Lake, we were looking to revitalize Medical Lake, support citizens, work with nonprofits, the civic groups, the churches, and most of all the citizens. And it was all the 99022. And that's all of you. A few years ago, one of my brothers is a retired lieutenant fireman. And every time he would come over and visit, he would look at the area and he looked at different places and he would talk about fuel. And that fuel was fire. And he always talked about my house and he would talk about my green zone. And, you know, you need to take this down, you need to, you know, make your area. And, you know, that was just our constant conversation. And we would have lightning strikes out at the farm. At this one time, it struck a pole and it caught the field on fire. And we were just talking about all of this lightning strikes in the area. And after that, after he had gone home this one day, I went to an official here in Medical Lake, not the current administration. And I went into City Hall. And because I have a very busy brain, if you know me at all. And I said, what if we have a lightning strike in Waterfront Park? And it catches the park on fire. And it comes up into the city. And the wind's blowing, and it's middle of summer. And I gave this whole scenario. And you know what they said? Why do you think about things like that? That will never happen. Until this happened. And so that came to my mind as we were talking here tonight. And we have leaders and anybody who wants to come step into these shoes, I would love for you to do that. Because, you know, I know we all have differing opinions at times. I really didn't want necessarily to definitely be in this position in these shoes right now for the last 7 months. I did festivals for fun. But I think we all have come together in some really hard times. So when hard subjects come up, remember that we care about each other and that your safety and well-being is what we really are working towards.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much. So I think that concludes everything unless there's another question or two that we can answer. We'll conclude for the night. Like we said, we have all of these folks out in the back, and I wish you the best. We'll see you here in about another month, and we'll continue to be here. So thank you again. Have a good evening.